Hi, this is Annette Pasternak, the Stop Skin Picking Coach, here today with Maria from Guatemala. Hi, Maria.
Hi.
It's so nice to have you here. Thank you for coming on my channel.
Oh, thank you, Annette.
Yeah, so Maria is one of my coaching clients who I've had. I think we worked together starting about a year ago, was it? Do you
Yes.
remember? Yeah. So Maria, you have made so much progress. I would say, such a almost a not a different person, but why don't you kind of tell what your life was like, maybe a year ago, what your experience, even in your own head, in your body was like, and a little bit of what's been changing for you.
Okay. Yes, I do feel very different, though, as you say. For a year ago, I think it's important to tell everyone that I have been dealing with this like for since I was 14, and I'm now 26. So when I started with you, I was turning 25, just turning 25, and it was very painful and difficult sometimes. Like I remember after like after picking a lot of my skin, I remember feeling like hell. Like I couldn't believe I could felt so bad and ugly with myself, and so it was really hard times, and I didn't have any hope. I thought I was like I couldn't change myself, and I'm so grateful that you taught me the opposite. So so a year ago I was picking a lot, and no hope. I thought that I was bound to live that way, and that another reality or a better me didn't exist or couldn't exist, or I didn't deserve it, or I couldn't, you know. And I was pretty much always focusing on my skin. I didn't go out. I yeah didn't talk to men at all because I was very self-conscious and low self-esteem. I mean, I still have the issues, but they are like in a level that it's normal. It's not like I was. And I didn't go out with my friends because I was always worried about my skin. I didn't do exercise because I couldn't go to a place that people was going to see my skin. And and yes, it was horrible. And I started looking in the internet, and then I found you. I found your videos, and then I think I wrote you. I bought your book, and I started reading your book, and that gave me the first sparks of hope. So that was very useful because, like, seeing someone that had been through all that too, that I was not alone. I discovered I was not alone. Also, an important thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think hope is the first thing you need for the recovery process.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's so important, because that makes you see, like, oh, I might be able to get better. Let me start looking into how.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so great. So what happened next? So we start working together?
Yeah, we started doing the sessions. Like I begged my mom to help me, and because that's also an important thing, because my mom, I couldn't pay you, so I needed my mom to help me on that. But she didn't understand my problem, although I have been having it for more than 10 years. So it was kind of shocking because she knew I had that habit, but none of us knew until until I met you. I didn't know it was like an OCD, as something that you can actually treat. So she didn't understand, but I begged her so much that she said, okay, like, okay. And so we started doing sessions, and I think I didn't see change the first months because I was not giving my all. Like, you were telling me all this, to do this and this and this, but I was always hoping for someone to save me. If, like, oh, she's going to save me, like Annette is going to do it. And you did help me the hand that I needed, that no one else had. Like, I tried other things. I went to the psychiatrist, I went to the psychologist, and none of them could, because they didn't understand this OCD. I like to call it this addiction or OCD. They didn't understand it. So you did help me in the hand and gave me hope, but I think it was also important when I switched to think that no one was going to save me but me, like in this aspect. And one of the things you say in your book or in the Freedom Companion is that this is not my fault. This addiction is not my fault, but it is my responsibility. And it also helped me when you, in one of your videos, you say that this became a blessing for you because you have ended up making a profession out of it and helping so much people. And so I also took that and say, well, how can I make this a blessing and not a curse? Because it has been a curse for 10 years, so now I have to make it a blessing. Yeah. And I'm trying. Yeah, it has been, because in the this process of recovering, I have changed in other aspects and in other areas of my life that I wouldn't have done it if I didn't needed it, So, but the thing that evoked everything was this, trying to solve this. And so we started in the few first months. I was like, oh, but I remember I used all my phone calls because whenever I needed to talk, I would call you, which was really good. But then you also teach me that, that this is a process. It was not going to solve in a month. I was going to be free.
Yeah, I think it was, from what I remember in the beginning, yeah, the problem was you would lose hope over and over again after each time. Maybe you picked a little more. Like, you were making some progress, but you would get discouraged and it would take a phone call or an email. I remember sometimes you emailed me and I'd email back and, to try to encourage you. And I think for you, I think it just took a couple months for it to sink in, and for, like, you were absorbing this, and it was kind of working its way around in your mind. And then at some point, like you said, it just, I don't know if it was like a switch that flipped a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, but the thing is, you are very practical. Mm-hmm. So that it's not like when you go to the psychologist, or in my experience, it was like, oh, well, but how do you feel? And you don't like, okay, these are the things you're going to do or avoid. Yeah. And we do talk about feelings and everything, but we don't dwell too much on them, but actually make a action plan. And that's the action plan that really changed the game, because if not, it's only you in your head. Yeah. So what you helped me a lot with these specific actions and identifying the current situations and habits and thoughts, especially thoughts that took me in a bad, that were dangerous for me and were painful and bad. So from cover, like the first thing, covering the mirrors and taking all the mirrors in my room out. And it was also in the beginning, it was like a negation, because I was like, but my friends have mirrors in the room. Why cannot I have mirrors in my room? Like, why I cannot go to a bathroom that has a mirror? And I think it's important, to accept this, also the first step, and say, okay, you're not your friends. You're not. Don't think of yourself as the next ones to you, because you're not that person. You have this issue. You cannot be near mirrors in this stage of your life. And so I took all mirrors out. I remember, and that was before starting coaching, but when I read your book. So that was the first thing. Yeah. And it was a game changer. Like, suddenly you don't have the how do you say, the
trigger?
The trigger, the temptation, so it's easier. But it was hard to accept that I couldn't have those things in my room as a normal person. But I guess, like, it's just accepting, and now it's okay for me.
That's a huge thing, is just accepting where you are. Stop fighting and resisting. Where, you wish you were, or, you wish you were like your friends, or and it's just like, okay, you can only have the power to work on this if you're working from where you are, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's great. And then I remember, even after that, it's a struggle, because there's a temptation to look in your mother's bathroom, right?
Yeah. So that has been a huge thing. The bathrooms in my house, like, the rest of my family do not have to deal with this, so they have mirrors in their bathroom. But I realized, thanks to Annette, because sometimes we do things but we don't realize all the triggers that we have, or all the environmental triggers that we have, or we put ourselves in a situation where it is very hard for us to not fall. So the strategy was to take care of myself before not being in front of the trigger or the temptation, but taking care before. So we identified that whenever I was in my mom's, or the bathroom I share with my brother, every time I was in either of there, I pick, because I lean to the mirror, I start seeing imperfections, I lose the big picture, and I end up picking. So I have to avoid those places. And I started, that's when I really started improving. When I decided I was only going to use the downstairs bathroom, that I took away the mirror. So that's when I really started improving. And also, and doing less with my skin. Like, I stopped washing it 2 times a day, but started washing it once. That all these tips, I saw it in your channel. So whenever I needed help or advice, or whenever I had a free time, I would watch your videos. I still do. So
you can watch yourself next time.
Yes.
So what else? Okay, so I know that I think you mentioned, yeah, working on your thoughts and the
Yeah.
anxiety. You had tremendous anxiety, right? So we had to kind of work on that, right? Do you remember anything about that?
Yes, I think that's the main part of all. And I still have the anxiety. Just my coping mechanisms have improved.
Great.
So one of the most useful things you taught me has been the breathing exercise,
Breathing,
because
yeah.
it's so easy to just do it. I did it today. Or whenever I feel, yeah, and being more conscious about my breathing, because you also mentioned that sometimes we're not breathing well and we don't realize most of the times but when we pay attention, it's like amazing, because you realize you're like breathing like this. And so I do the exercise you taught me, and also tapping. I use it in the beginning a lot. Actually, I used it yesterday. There I was feeling a very strong feeling, a very strong emotion, so I started tapping. So tapping, breathing, then doing the exercises where I put what's in my control and what's on the universe control, like what can I control and what can I not control at all. That has helped me too. Also, I mean, there are so many exercises. I'm being short here, but those are the ones I use the most. And reading stuff that you put in, and watching your stuff, because like you have to keep motivation. Also, if I needed to take a shower, sometimes I need to take it with the lights off and just a candle. So sometimes I need to do that. Another one, good one that you came up with, that one was putting my makeup not in front of the mirror. So first I will put my makeup and then I can go to a mirror to fix everything that's missing. But that's also a very, very good one. And using makeup every day. I used to not use makeup because I would think, oh, my skin is going to get clogged and blah, blah, blah. And it was not true. Like, if you use good stuff on your skin, it's okay, but it has helped me to feel pretty in the daily basis. Like, even if I'm alone here in the office, I still feel like better. And I remember you told me that I have to cultivate the good emotions or start inside. So I think that's key also.
Right. So in the beginning, you were telling us like all the things you couldn't do and weren't doing. So tell us how those have changed now.
So I started doing yoga also because of you. So now 1 year doing yoga. And has helped me a lot. I think there are very a lot of stuff that you have to put together so everything works. So one thing important was that I was not doing exercise, and you were very you stressed that a lot, that I needed to do exercise. So I started doing exercise, and at the beginning I would go in the mornings because there was no one there, so I was feeling okay. And then, I started improving, so I started saying, I don't care, how I look, I really don't care. Yeah, working on that too, okay, I really don't care how I look right now.
Yeah, that's a huge change, right? You're extremely self-conscious.
Yeah, yeah. And that's something that I still fight, but it was terrible before. So you also taught me that I needed to focus on something greater than me, and to go outside of yourself. So that helped me a lot. Also, that perspective on thinking about others or stuff greater than you. So I started doing yoga, and I started going out with my friends. I mean, I still have, I'm still working on that because I'm not that social.
Well, that's a different story, sort of.
That's
Just,
a different story. That's saying, oh, I'm alone in this world. Yeah. Different. But I have been trying to take things in my, like, be in control of the things I can. So if one day I am not doing anything, instead of waiting for someone to write me and say, hey, do you want to do something? I take control of the situation. So if one day I'm sad because, oh, I'm bored, I don't have nothing to do, well, I can organize something and invite my friends. And if they don't come, okay, but you at least try. Or write your friends. Or now I write a lot of friends, like a lot, or like 5 or something. But at least I try to reach out, so I don't feel hopeless. Or, I read this quote that I'm like I like a lot, and it's called "Hopelessness can only be overcome by action." So
pretty much anything can only be overcome by action.
Yeah.
Or pretty much everything. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, even if it's actions to try to have better thoughts, it still takes action and practice,
and that's something, and that's something that before, for me, like, it was a problem to think that, if, for example, I had my face very damaged because I had picked a lot. So I thought I needed to take action over it to improve it, but I end up doing worse. So a good thing that you're saying this, because redirect your energy for the actions. Yeah, redirect your energy to something outside yourself, so that this can heal by itself. Because I was like taking actions, but I was making it worse. Right. So, but it is true, like, anxiety won't, like, I can sit and say, okay, it will go away, but it's very, very difficult. So if you do the breathing, or if you do other stuff, or you go take a walk, or you, I don't know, pet your dog, it's easier because you're doing an action.
Right. And even changing the environment, even not very much action, because this morning I was feeling kind of down and reflective. It's like the anniversary of my mother's death, and then when I went outside, I was like, I'm just gonna go outside and do what I'm doing out there, and it was just like, oh, the breeze, and it was a beautiful day, and I see the tree, and like, it completely shifted my mood almost without trying.
Yeah, it's true. Also, nature helps me a lot. Like, just being around nature.
I remember you emailed me, you said you kissed a boy or something. Yes. So, yeah, because before you had mentioned you wouldn't talk to men. Presumably you
like, I started doing things that I didn't believe myself capable of, as dumb as that sounds. Like, I didn't see myself doing it, like, or kissing, or just looking in the eyes. I have here my list of goals, and as silly as they sound for other people, or they can sound for other people, or the goals were being able to look people in the eye, and not being able to feel confident, or being able to not be thinking of my skin when someone was talking to me in front of me. So I can say I have accomplished that now. Like,
that's huge. Yeah, that's because that's such an important one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So yes, like, things. One of the main things I wanted to treat this issue, this I call it an addiction, was because in some point of my life, I hope to get married, or I would like to get married. I don't know when, but before, for me, that was like an impossible, like, oh my God, that is never going to happen because I'm this way and no one is going to love me this way. So it is not true, because there are other girls that have this problem and are married and have boyfriends and everything. But for me, it's something I needed to take care of first before thinking of being with someone or being in a relationship or anything, because it's a lot of self-care that I was not giving myself.
Yeah, this is, this is very relatable. I'm glad that you're saying this, because a lot of our viewers are, not everybody, but there are a lot of them that are in the same position as you. And yeah, and now it's like, it's so possible for you. I always remember early in the coaching, you were saying, you pray every day. Please help me, help me from this. Like, why do I have this? And blah, blah, blah. Like asking a lot of questions. Like ask so many questions of God. And I remember I asked you, do you ever listen for an answer? And you laughed just like that. And you said no. So now, do you feel like you've calmed down enough that you are able to listen and get
yes. I mean, the prayer, someday I do prayer every day. I go to mass every day because that's how I live my my faith. But yeah, in the beginning I was not very consistent. And the prayer, yes, I was doing all the talking. It was like, of course, I'm not going to improve this way because I'm just talking and talking and talking and blah, blah, blah. So yes, I remember when you told me that, it was like, she's so right. I need to. So what I started to do. I mean, it sounds dumb for others, but I started going to the chapel where I go, and instead of saying everything, I would just sit and say, well, how are you, God? How are you today? And sit, and maybe you're not, I mean, you're not hearing voices, but he does hears you. So, I mean, yeah, at least saying hi, you're already doing prayer. When you say hello, you're already having a conversation. So yeah, I started trying to put myself more like up in the picture.
Right, good. Yeah, and I believe we don't necessarily get the answers like, you ask the question in church and you literally hear an answer right after. It might be some other time in your day when you have a thought to do something, or to, to call your friend, or to, like, whatever it is. Like, I just feel like the ability for you to quiet your mind a little bit, and have some space in between the constant chatter and the constant
the answers come in so many ways. Like, I think it was one of the answers was you telling me, listen, because you're not listening to me.
Right.
They can come from people, from
exactly,
from situations. So it is true, they don't come instantaneously, but they do come along the way. And
but if you're constantly going, you're not going to be able to listen to anyone, really.
Yes. And now, I mean, I still pray for this, and for all the girls, or I mean, I think girls, but everyone in general that has it. I do pray for the people, really cool. Because I mean, it's really hard, but something really so precious that I held now in my heart is that I have, I mean, a lot of defects that I'm trying to work on. So sometimes it's really easy to lose hope on myself. you cannot do this, or in other areas like work or relationships, or I don't know, or exercise or whatever. But I remember that if I have been able to change so much in this aspect, I can change in any aspect.
I love that. Yeah, because it is so natural for us to have doubts in any area, It's just like even I've been listening to these interviews with top CrossFit athletes on YouTube, and they're these short interviews, but the guy always asks them, like, do you ever doubt yourself? These are like champions, and they all do. They all have doubts, and it's just how they deal with those doubts. And you're dealing with it in such a wonderful way of like telling yourself, using this other area of life, which now is the picking, and telling yourself like, oh, you've dealt with this, you'll find a way, Yeah, people in the audience, listening to this video, I mean, you can equally do that, like thinking of maybe you're successful in some other thing, like maybe you are successful in work, or you have a great relationship, and like, you maybe you don't maybe you don't think those are such hard things, but you did them successfully, and you can, just like reassure yourself when you're having doubts that you'll ever be able to, stop or reduce your picking to a more normal level. Like, I believe everybody can. And I bet, I'm sure you believe that at this point too, that like because you were so doubtful and hopeless in the beginning, right?
I thought everyone was able except me.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, like with all these success stories I'm showing of people, like people all share that. It's like,
really.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about all of them, but I remember a couple others where, people were like, I thought it was just everybody else.
Yeah.
And when I would watch these success stories and I didn't believe I could do it, but if you have at least the hope you can and you take the actions, then it will happen.
What was very also important for me, and something that you taught me, was that because you are going to fall, and I still fall, dealing with the negative emotions that come after a fall or a slip, that is key. Because those negative emotions were holding me back. So of course I was going to feel hopeless if I was only thinking of that.
Right.
So one of the very important things was not to be masochist, if you want to call it, or to keep
beating yourself up.
Beating myself up for when I slip, for when I fail. So that helped me sustain the hope. Like, it was okay. Like, that was very, very a huge part too.
Is there anything else you want to share?
I mean, I want to tell, if you're watching this and you haven't, you haven't done coaching with Annette, or you have been trying a lot of stuff, I can tell you that if I was able to do it, anyone is able to do it. Like, really, I was in a very, very, very dark place, and I was like, Annette helped me, and I think it's very important to remember that it's a process. Yeah, it's a process, and it's not one day to other, or in the next month I will be fine. I mean, no, it's not going to be like that. But also the support system that you give has helped me a lot. Also the group therapy, seeing other girls like me that have lived with this for a lot of time and have the same thought patterns as me. How they deal with it, how they go with their day, or what their tips are, and that has helped me a lot.
I remember, you made some diet changes too that
Yes,
helped you.
yes, yes.
Do you have a bit of time to talk
Yes,
about
no,
that?
sure. So you in one of your videos and also in your book you talk about sugar, and um I do eat sugar sometimes, but definitely not as I used to eat, because I was like, if there was cake in the fridge, I would eat that for breakfast. So like ice cream, I would eat a lot of ice cream, or candies. I would always have candies in my desk. Like now that I think about it, I ate a lot of sugar, a lot.
Do you think reducing sugar helped you pick less?
So
Feel less
much, so
anxious?
much. Yeah, I do think. I mean, I haven't done like the all the tracking very detailed, but I mean, it is a huge difference in anxiety overall. So I did change my diet in that way, that I stopped eating sugars, and I do it occasionally, like it's no problem, but not as I was eating. And 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 also eating more vegetables and fruits.
Great.
Yes. So you feel better, and that reflects outside, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
I started first with the sugar, and then my mom, I'm going to search about it, and then she showed me a lot of documentaries about sugar, and like it's
So
like
bad.
cocaine, that stuff. It's
Right.
terrible. And so now she doesn't eat sugar too.
Oh, good.
So we eat, like we try to, for example, if I want to eat something sweet, I have frozen blueberries. So I eat frozen blueberries, or frozen banana with blueberries. Yeah, smoothie that feels like ice cream.
Right.
Instead of cookies or ice cream with sugar, or
yeah, so much healthier.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. So you've mentioned a lot of my videos and things you read in the book. How did the coaching help you accomplish what you wanted to that you wouldn't have been able to maybe just with the videos?
Okay. Well, the videos are great and everything, but first you cannot you I think us, the people with this type of addiction, we need to talk about it, and there is no many people we can talk about it, because first they don't understand, and second is very, you feel a lot of shame, so you cannot open up about this stuff with almost no like for me it was you, and so that's the first thing, and that you understand this, and also you help me understand my situation. Like you were very detailed, like, okay, what do you do in the morning, like all my routines that I didn't know the routines, so all the things, and you can attack those things, or yeah, treat those habits specifically, because if not, it's only ideas, but when you take it to a personal level, you can be very specific, and it's only by being specific that you can actually improve. Small actions, very small actions, but they were, necessary. And talking about, I mean, we do some exercise that they are not in the videos, so they are really helpful, because they are about you. They are treating you, not, it's not a general tip. It's how you apply in your life. And when we did it, it did help me. Also, you know which one helped me a lot? The one,
like a belief change?
Yes.
Thing? Okay.
So yeah, that helped me a lot. Yeah, all these useful exercises that are mental, like that it's specific and it's personal. Honestly, here in Guatemala, there are no people that treat this stuff like you do. Like I went to a psychologist and she didn't understand. She told me, oh, she thought I was doing it to harm myself.
Right.
And it is not that.
Yeah, common misconception.
Yeah, totally not. It is very, game changing to have the coaching.
Well, thank you so much for doing this, Maria, for being on my challenge, sharing so much about yourself and about the process of coaching to stop your picking. And and you're continuing to work on this, right? And getting better and better. So that's wonderful. Is there anything, do you want to say goodbye or anything?
Well, just to, if you're watching this, there is hope. A lot of us have, like, not only me, but Annette has a lot of patients and they have been able to improve. So you can also improve. And I'm praying for you.
Aw, that's really sweet. Thank you. What's the most important thing you got from today's conversation? Please feel free to share in the comments and any other comments you might have. Give Maria a thumbs up, and if you'd like to visit my website and find out more about coaching, you can click on the link there.